welcome to our webinar, the second of the year. And I'm glad to see that you guys have joined us again today. We're really enjoying these, and we are really enjoying seeing our clients on here as well. This is what you guys want to see. So listen, Lee Sansum, welcome, Lee. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure, as always.
So I personally have known Lee a very long time. I first met Lee when he joined Nest, pretty much when we started.
Yes.
And we were still working in Joy and Gerard's garage, and I was living at Joy and Gerard's, and we had business meetings in the garden, didn't we, Lee?
Yes, we did. I remember them fondly.
So I have followed very much of Lee's martial arts journey, which is quite astounding. I won't give anything away. He can tell you all about that himself. He's got an extremely decorated, interesting and dynamic life, which we will tell you all about. Lee works in many different roles. He's been, as you may well know, he was famously bodyguard for Lady Di, which he will tell you about. And through his experience of being in the military, being a bodyguard, obviously martial arts experience, Lee has built up this vast knowledge of high-level leadership, how to lead a very successful, efficient, dynamic, just an incredible team. I've heard your story, Lee. I've heard you talk at other events, and it's brilliant. It's inspirational. So I'm going to come off this chat. I'm going to leave you to tell these wonderful people all about your story, Lee, and your experience and the innovation that you bring to a leadership model. And I will jump back in with you close to the end and we'll address any questions that people have. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Lou. Hello, everybody. I can't see you all, but I know you're there. I can feel your presence. And I'm going to talk today about quite a few things, but one of the main things I'm going to talk about is leadership within your schools. And what prompted me to speak about this was a Nest webinar that was on recently, and it was about how to employ and how to onboard staff, which was very interesting. But I want to come at it in a slightly different way, which some of you guys out there might just get it a little differently, because martial arts is slightly different than the model of a lot of businesses, and we do it slightly differently, and you'll all get this when I talk about it. So yeah, I've been an S customer now for, it must be about 20 years plus, and I started my first martial arts school in 1999 in the same old story, back of a nightclub, sweeping up the glass before we trained. And I was forced to open my school for a number of reasons. And one, I had a big contract in Algeria at the time, and it got cancelled at the last minute. And literally, I didn't have a job for the first time in my life. I didn't know what to do. So I opened a martial arts school with the help of some amazing people, the Winsper family being one of them. And I created this martial arts school. And just to let you know, I live in the Highlands of Scotland, and in my town, there's about 22,000 people. That's it. It's quite a poor area. It's very rural. We don't have many industries here, and the ones that we have are not that well paid. So everything about starting a martial arts school here is kind of wrong. We're in the wrong area and wrong demographics. But anyway, I started it, and we built up a large school at the time. We were just about 400 students, active students, paying and training. And then everything was going swimmingly well. And this was a full-time facility, by the way, beautiful facility. And then we opened another facility. And then during this time, I was still keeping my hand in with my security kind of work, having been in the military prior to this. And then we started to expand in a franchise model, and we expanded rapidly. And we had about 16 schools at one time, with quite a few full-time facilities. We had 6 at the time, really, really nice facilities. And it all started going wrong for me. And there's various reasons for it, but one of them is my identity as a martial arts instructor changed significantly. And I started to become an administrator. I started to change the way I thought about martial arts. And I was forever, this is in my mind, chasing these franchisees as they were, and trying to make them be the best that they could be, and to grow their schools and to contribute more in their communities. And pretty soon I kind of discovered that the people that I brought into my franchise, they weren't similar minded to me, a lot of them, and they weren't as motivated. They were doing it, as I thought, for the money rather than service, and all these things happened. And then what happened is my son Damon Sansum, who he left, and he went to Manchester to join the Olympic Taekwondo team, and he went from kickboxing, where he was one of the top fighters in the world, and he wanted to have a possibility of going to an Olympic game. So that's what was his driving force, and he's got a fantastic story himself, and Damon speaks about this as well nationally. And so one of my other athletes was one of the best athletes in the world, this young girl who was part of our family, and she had to stop training. She got unfortunately really bad hereditary arthritis, and she couldn't compete anymore, and I just lost the passion for it. So I closed down my franchise, and I started working more in the security field, a private military contractor essentially, and I went down that line. And then since then I've come back just before lockdown, through various reasons, and I'll explain why. We've started to build up the schools again. So we've got big schools, we're doing fantastically well, and we're growing our model now, but not as a franchise, as an association with only like-minded people that we will allow in. And that really sits better with my values and my family values, and that's going really well for us. So we're back into martial arts again. We have a martial arts podcast called the Sansum Warrior Mindset, which I do with my son, which is great because I get to work with him. He lives close to me, and I get to see him every day, and we get to work on that project, interviewing some amazing people. So we're doing that at the moment as well, which is kind of cool, and I really like it. But we're focusing on the mindset of various athletes and inspirational people, which is really cool. So the leadership thing that I speak about now, and I speak about it internationally, and I currently work with various companies and things like that, and what I do is I help them create a fantastic leadership team. And one thing that I've seen about many martial arts schools is they have fantastic leaders in the school, and they don't have a team as such, as I would call a team. And I'll explain that to you as we go through this cast. And I'll give you a few ideas and a few things to think about to possibly help you get your team to be a fantastic team, which is going to take your business to the next level. So I'd like to explain to you how I came to start really thinking about this and researching it. And it's quite an interesting story. So 2015, I was working in Tripoli in Libya, and I'd gone to Libya from Somalia about 3 years before, where I had a life-changing experience and a life-threatening experience when I evacuated an oil and gas company in a very hostile environment. And I got home, and I was so glad to be home. And I won't go into the ins and outs of that. I do write about, I wrote a book during lockdown, and I speak about it in my book. It's called The Bodyguard, funny old thing, by myself and my ghostwriter, Howard Linsky, a fantastic guy. So I came home, and when I got back home here to Elgin, which is about 50 minutes from Inverness, right on the coast, beautiful place, I still had the clothes on that I'd been wearing 3 days before. I still had the African dust in my boots, and I walked home. I went home, and as soon as I got in, I didn't tell my wife or anything what had happened, but she understood that it's been quite traumatic. And she said, "We've got a grading tonight. Do you want to come?" So I took all these clothes off, had a shower. I had a shower for about 3 days, and I took a grading. And at the time, I thought, there's no way I can do this. And anyway, I did it, and it was probably the best thing I could have ever done at that time. And it just made me think how much I love martial arts. So I went out to Libya, and I went and did a lot of other jobs internationally. But I spent about 3 years in Libya. And in 2015, I was on a rooftop in Libya. And it was during the Second War. And the Second War in Libya started with, they call it the Battle of Tripoli Airport. And this was about 2 weeks before this incident I'm going to tell you about now. And I was in the middle of it with some clients, as we call. I was working for a big, the European Union out there, looking after the border assistance mission. And I had about 45 people in my post protection teams, and we would take the clients out and look after them and make sure they were safe and bring them back. So things had gone horribly wrong, and we were the last mission that was allowed to leave Libya. Everybody had gone. There was just us left. We were in the wrong part of town. We were in the middle of a massive battle between the militias fighting for Tripoli. We had Al Qaeda on one side, we had ISIS on the other, and our intelligence had told us that they were coming to get us. We were the only Westerners there. They wanted to take the Westerners and obviously do, the horrible things they do to them and video it and all that. So we knew we were in a dire situation. And coupled with that, the person on the mission who was supposed to have been in charge of all the extra ammunition and grenades and stuff like that, he hadn't got them. It was just a big mistake. And so we had enough rounds, enough bullets and things to last us probably 15 minutes if we got attacked. And we had nowhere to go. We couldn't escape. The airports were closed because of the fighting. The roads were closed. And you couldn't get out by sea either. So I was on the rooftop, and we'd taken defensive positions to try and do whatever we could. And at that time, I was on the rooftop with my closest team, and we knew that we didn't want to be taken captive. And what we were discussing was who was going to shoot who. That was us. And we had this really serious conversation about, we're going to get down to our last rounds. I'll shoot you, you shoot him, he'll shoot you. And I was the last. And I'm saying, whoa, who's going to shoot me? I'm not being the last one. And we had this kind of a dark humor conversation about how we were going to do this, because you've got to have a plan, right? Otherwise, if you don't have a plan, it's not going to work. And that was quite a surreal moment. And then at that time, then everybody just, we went a bit quiet and started thinking about stuff. And when you're faced with a life-threatening moment and you're really contemplating your life, you start to think about certain things, and it's generally the same stuff, and you become very, very calm. And you start thinking about, not about how am I going to pay my mortgage, my tax bill, how's the martial arts school going, what's the retention like, what are we doing for marketing, the people that you don't like. You don't think about them. All you think about is the people that you love. and you start thinking deeply about this, about your family, about your close friends, and just the people that really mean a lot to you. And it's an amazing feeling. And at that time, I thought about Princess Diana, and I thought about her quite deeply, because it was about 2 weeks with her just before she died, and I spent a lot of time with her and the two princes. And then after this incident, and when I finally got home, I started thinking really deeply, why did I think about her? Why did she pop into my mind? And it took me down a route of really analysing what, as human beings, what it is that is really important to us, and what makes us tick, and what makes these teams tick, that you can be on this team with these people feeling, and it sounds strange, feeling safe, feeling secure in a situation which is, you couldn't get any worse, and feeling love and trust, and have that calmness in that chaos. Whereas sometimes small things in your martial arts school or your business can really get you down, and it can make you behave like crazy. But yet here, in the craziest moment that you could ever be in, it was just absolute calmness and trust. And yeah, I'm okay with this. And I then started analysing Princess Diana. She was an amazing person for many, many reasons, but one of them was when I first met her, you could tell I got the vibration from her, the vibe. She was a real amazing woman. And then at that time, she was staying with the Fayed family, Mohammed Al Fayed, the owner of Harrods, who sadly passed away not too long ago, and his family. And what I saw was that when I first took her into Saint-Tropez shopping with Mr. Fayed's wife, Henny, I took her around the shops and the things in Saint-Tropez, and she really dressed down, pair of shades on, an old baseball cap, and nobody knew she was there at that time. This was like day 2 of the trip. And wherever she went, obviously I'm watching her, everybody she spoke to, she spoke with a smile and happiness and joy, and they didn't know who she was. And it might find that incredible. She was probably the most famous person on the planet at that time. And there's a reason for that, and it's a psychological reason. I won't go into it, but I understood this was going to happen until people knew she was there. And even the assistants in the stores and the shops and in the cafes, and she would just speak to people in an incredibly friendly way. And when I ask people, and I do use this kind of analogy a lot when I talk, and I ask people, how do you feel about Princess Diana? The majority say, I loved her. Not I liked her, I loved her. And there's a big difference between like and love, as we all know. I love my wife. I don't like her. I love her. If I said I liked her, I would be divorced instantly. So what happened on that Fayed experience was the Fayed family were very, very difficult to deal with because of various reasons. And I was very fortunate. I got on with all the family, but the majority of people didn't. And what I saw was the princess just being around the family started to smile. They started to talk to the bodyguards. There was probably about 28 of us on that one trip. They started to say please and thank you and speak to people. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And it's only after this event in Libya where I started to really analyze it. Why was that? And it was her invisible PR, her public relations, her invisible ones. The things she did when no one was looking, there's always someone looking, those tiny little random acts of kindness that she did. that the people get. There's no social media then like we have it, but people all over the world just loved this woman. She was the first one to hug an AIDS victim, and you knew she didn't do it for the publicity. You knew she did it because she sincerely cared about this person. And she did a lot of things for the horrible dilemma we have of all the landmines everywhere. And you saw with the people, you saw her hugging these children who had been, had legs blown off and things like this. And it was those tiny things she did when no one was watching that she did from the heart. But there's always someone watching us, always. It's called our invisible PR. And we've got to be really mindful of this as we go on. So that took me down the route of going, you can be a leader, and what you can do as a leader, you can ignite feelings in others. And so what I then started to think about was, with my close protection teams on some of the missions I've been on and things like this, my teams used to get more missions than anyone else. The clients, as we call them, the people we're looking after, whether it was the British government or various other NGOs or things like that, non-government organisations and stuff. My team used to always get requested to do more missions with the clients than anyone else. And I used to think, well, that's because I'm really good, and that's ego. And I thought, well, I'm really good, and that's why it is. And it wasn't until I started researching and really understanding what makes a team, but it wasn't that at all. What it was the way I led my teams. The clients would see us, and they'd see me and my team working. They'd see the closeness, they'd see the bond, they'd see the trust, they'd see our invisible PR, and they felt safe with us. And that's why they wanted to come with us, because they felt safe with my team, because my team wasn't better than any other team. We had the same people, all ex-military, all from specialist area in the military. And each team was as good as each team, but the clients used to watch my team, I now know, and they get a different buzz from us, a different vibe from us. And it's the way that I treated my team, and it's the way we treated others, and that's the way I led. So what we have in our martial arts teams, and this can be a competitive team, it can be your management team, it could be the team that helps you in your martial arts school. And what we find is, in martial arts, and I know a lot of you do this, but what we have is we have a leader, generally the sensei or the master instructor, and then we need to build our teams to take us where we need to go. So essentially, martial arts generally, it is you pick certain people and put them in positions in your team, assistant instructors, helpers, people who can help you with the customers, whatever it is. And generally what we do, and this is the mistake I made, is I got high performance people and put them in roles of responsibility. And high performance teams suck, as they say, because what we need is high trust teams. And I'm going to mention a little bit about that. If you can hear something at the moment, I'm just right next to the RAF base in Lossiemouth, where I now live. And if jets come over, you might hear a noise, and that's all it is. They just fly around all day, just chilling out. So what you have is, in a team, this is what makes high performance teams in the military and in military contractor teams, which are all individuals that are brought together for one purpose. Now, the areas in which we work, I'm trying to get it so you can try and understand what I'm talking about. If you get it wrong, you die. So there's a lot of pressure on this. There's a lot of pressure. So when we look at our teams, what we need a high amount of trust in our teams, a massive amount of trust. And the performance of the team members isn't that critical. If you get a average performance team member, that's good enough. You can upskill them on their skills, but we're not looking for high performance players in all the team, because generally a lot of high performance players have a big ego and they have low trust, and it doesn't work in a team. You've got to have high trust first, and trust comes from the top, and I'll explain that in a minute. So you've got to have a high amount of trust, settle for average to over average performance. That's all you need. And then you can build your team with people that trust you, that will then ultimately love you. I don't mean love as in a relationship. I mean that love that we feel for people. And once you start building your team this way, slightly differently than looking for high performance people, then you get a coercive team then. And as animals, as biological animals, we are meant to work as a team. We get success as a team. We don't get success individually. We get it as a team. So if you're in your martial arts school now thinking, I haven't got a team, then really think about how you're going to do this. In my team, in my school, in one of my schools in Elgin, we have around about 150, 160 students. We had a big hit just after COVID when we were up to just over 200. We have 22 members of the team. It might sound a lot to some of you, but if I could build it to 34, 44, I would do. But the more we have in the team, the stronger we are, the better we are. And it's just a matter of me now. I look after my team, they look after the students. I love the students. I see them, twice a week because I just love going in. And but it is my team that is the most important thing to me. Now, I'm going to explain for some of you guys out there who've got fantastic teams. I'm going to explain just in a little bit more detail about how this kind of all works. So the chemicals in our body that we release as animals, we have to release them. Now, if you're in a high trust team, which is what we want, not necessarily a high performance team, the performance will come. We have various chemicals, and you'll be familiar with a lot of these because martial arts does exactly the same thing. So the first one we have is the endorphin, which is our natural painkiller. And we get it when we train, and we get it when we do exercise and things like that. And it's good for us. We like it. We thrive off it. That's why people love training, love martial arts. It's the endorphin. It's that natural painkiller we get. Yeah, an hour or two after training, when you're stiff and sore, it's not as good. But at the time, we like this endorphin. And then the dopamine, which we're all very familiar with, the dopamine is there to make us do stuff. So we carry on. So we get goals. So we go on the journey. And as animals, we need that in us to make us do stuff. As cave people or can I say cavemen now? I don't know, but cave people, cavemen. It enabled them to chase the animals, to catch them, to go and pick the apples from the trees, the crops, and to pick every single one. Because when we complete a task or we complete something, you get this massive dopamine rush, which we need. It's highly addictive. Alcohol, drugs, gambling, it's highly addictive, but we need it as human beings, the good and the bad. So we've got all that going on in our teams because they're training with us and they like it. Now, the most important thing for your teams is you've got to release these other two chemicals. Oxytocin, which is the chemical that all teams have to have. And the way we release this is by trust and feeling part of the team. Now, as a leader, which all you guys are that's listening, as a leader, you think, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I get trust? Now, trust is doing things for others putting others before yourself. And that's what we've got to be really focused and drill down on. It's being there for them when it goes wrong without criticism. It's knowing that they've got that ultimate top cover, that if things go wrong, you'll step up and put yourself in harm's way for them. It's as simple as that. It's a chemical reaction that we have in our bodies. And once we understand this as leaders, once we start behaving in this manner, then the team start behaving like that too. They start doing it to each other. They start caring for each other, and you build this family team that will help you take your business wherever you want it to go, whether you want to expand, open up new schools, whatever. And it's that when they feel this, they're more likely to come to you with ideas. They're more likely to do things and make mistakes, which we all do, knowing full well there is zero criticism ever going to come down from the leader. And they in turn start to treat people the same. And what you find also is the people who aren't aligned with your values, as long as you stick to these values, they will leave. They won't be able to stay. They won't be able to cope with it. Now, the next chemical that is really important to us as leaders is oxytocin. Now, you've got your serotonin, which is your team building stuff and trust, and the oxytocin is love. And it might sound a bit daft, you know, what do I do? Go around hugging everybody and all this. It's not that. What it is it's a relationship that over time, and you'll probably have it with some of your closest friends, you love them. And this feeling of love that we have is a chemical that we need in our body. Now, the interesting thing is when you get a team that literally love each other, like the teams I've worked with in these war zones, we love each other. I speak to them now, you know, and they send little kisses, these tough ex-forces soldiers and all this, little kisses and hearts and love you, brother, yeah, love you, man, and all this. And it's true. We loved each other. And that's why we could perform in any environment, in the most dangerous places, and have trust, ultimate trust in each other. And this is what we want to achieve in our martial arts team. And this is what we do in our martial arts team. The way that you do it, as I said before, guys, I want to really get this clear in your mind that it's not criticizing, it's doing things for them, going out of your way to do things for them all the time. So it's tiny little bits of considerate things you do for them will make them the strongest team that you could ever imagine. Eat with them, drink with them. We take them on holiday. I mean, they can pay. If you can pay, great. If you can't pay, create something. Go away. We went away last year to Spain. We took about 20 of our team away and went to Spain. We had this massive villa. We ate together every day. We cooked together. No phones. There was no phones allowed during the day. And everybody just had this amazing bonding experience. And when you go through things like that with your team, that team becomes so strong, you can do anything. You can have adversity. I know we're going through times at the moment where people are thinking, I don't know what's going on and all the rest of it. You can get through anything like that. Things will happen in your business. You know, we had a business, we were flooded. The insurance wouldn't pay out. We had nothing. And our team, we got through this together. Not me, together. And that's the biggest thing I can say to you about building your martial arts team. Now, the next thing I just want to finish on before we go into some questions and answers with Lou is this is one of the biggest things I've seen with martial arts instructors in particular. Sometimes we're out there, you feel you're on your own. It's such an unusual occupation that we do. There's not many people you can talk talk to about what you're doing. People don't get it. Oh, we usually make little kicks and punches in the air, don't they? And chop things. Oh, you're that kung fu guy, and you look at them and you think you have no idea what I do. So sometimes we can feel a bit isolated, and I know we've got the desk community that we talk on, and you've got friends in the martial arts. So the biggest thing that I can say to you, and I know a lot of you guys will be doing this as well, but for those of you that don't, is what we've got to do is, as leaders, we've got to look after our mental health. We've got to look after our passion. What is it we're doing? Why are we doing it? And we do this through affirmations and visualization. And I've been doing this for many, many years. And even when I go away on these dangerous missions, you know, my first statement is always, I will look after my men. I will make sure that they get back home. I will do anything I can for them. I'll get up before them. I'll go to bed after them. And I will make sure that my men are happy on this task. And it might sound a bit weird when you're getting shot at and they're trying to blow you up, but that's why I was there. I was the leader. I had to reinforce this to myself every single day, because if you don't affirm to yourself every day what you're doing, you can lose the plot. So with the martial arts, what I would say to you, if you're not doing this, try it. If you are doing it, fantastic. You're amazing, and you're in the minority, by the way. Is get some really cool statements about yourself, about why you're doing what you're doing, as if you've already done it. So if you want to get to your school to 200, 300, 400, whatever you want to do, whatever your goal is, you want to open multiple schools or whatever it is you want to do, you just want to just have a fantastic school, write it down. I have 200 students and I have an amazing martial arts school. And write down your affirmations about, you know, I lead the best team. I love my team love you. I'm so happy when I go to work. Write down what it is you want, the big goals and the small goals, or the dreams, call them what you like. And every morning when you wake up, don't reach for your phone. If you do reach for your phone, you've probably got a dopamine addiction to your phone. Get your affirmations out, read them, and read them as if they've already happened, and repeat it to yourself 20, 30 times if you're crazy, 40 times if you're insane. And visualize what that feels like when I've got a martial arts school with a fantastic team leading 300 members of my community, and feel what that feels like. You've really got to go there. And what this does is it releases the dopamine and the endorphins and the serotonin and the oxytocin. It releases it as you say it, if you say it with enough conviction that you believe it to be true. And what you're doing is you're getting the chemical rush before you've got the dream, before you've got the goal. And that will inspire you throughout the day to carry on with your mission, to be the best that you can be and do whatever you've got to do as a leader, to look after your team, look after your students, look after yourself, look after your family. And so if you're not doing it, give it a try. Cut out some little pictures of where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want your school to look like. Stick it in your journal, put it on your phone, whatever, and reinforce during the day. Sometimes when it does get a bit hard, when you're juggling your finances and you're this and you're that and the other, just really reaffirm who it is you are, that fantastic leader that you are, and where you're going with your business. And so give it a try. Let us know if it works for you. They reckon it takes about 30 days. I don't know why 30 days, but after doing this for a month, you'll see a difference in your behavior, and your team will see a difference as well. Just trust it, give it a go. And we're on for about 45 minutes now. So if anybody's got any questions there about building a team, about team management, anything like that, or you know what, anything really in the martial arts, because, you know, I've been in the business quite a long time and I've done most of the stuff and made most of the mistakes and had some great success. So Lou should be there now. I think Lou's going to come on and go through a few questions. Hi, Lou.
Hello. Oh, Lee, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. I know I've heard that story before. And it's just as shocking the second time you tell it. I just can't imagine anyone being in that scenario and telling the story as you do in such a positive, humble, non-traumatized manner. And actually learn from it and apply it to building a team. It's absolutely amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So yeah, please do pop any questions you have in the chat. I did have some questions actually, Lee. So that it's amazing. It's so much food for thought. Obviously, that experience that you have and being in a military environment and being in that particular intense scenario, I can understand how that creates naturally organic camaraderie where you perhaps build those connections with people that you wouldn't normally outside of that scenario.
Mhm.
And that does create a sense of love. I actually love I really enjoy the way you talk about that scenario and you come out of it with those feelings of love, where warrior mindset normally implies fierce and attack, and you actually talk about that in a completely different framework, which is brilliant. But how do you create that? How do you translate that into your martial arts academy, where obviously you don't have that intense scenario? Lots of our guys are potentially working with volunteers and part-timers. How do you kind of simulate that sense of camaraderie where you have such an intense trust in each other?
I think, Lou, as I said, a lot of the times when you're in the military or doing some of the work I've done, most of the times it's pretty mundane. It's you're not doing a great deal, and it's finding times in the pockets of your day just to speak to your team. And by the way, I've worked with some teams, I've seen some teams, and they're not like this. They're disjointed. There's no trust there. So it's going into your academy and asking just the small things that would you like a coffee? How's your family? How are you today? How do you sleep last night? How's work? How's this? And asking and listening and commenting and just like you would with your child. Have you been at school? And if you treat your team like your children, if your child does something wrong, you wouldn't send them up for adoption. You're going to make it right. And it's the same with the team. It's and with our martial arts team, we're with them a lot. We are with them a lot, especially people who go to tournaments, that you travel with them and you do this and you do that. So we do spend a lot of time with them, and it's taking that time to really get to know them. And what happens with a team as well is so interesting. In a team, we need a father figure or a mother figure. We need a leader. And during those trips away with them, or when you're in your martial arts school, they need to feel like they feel like children. They do. And they need this person to really show them that they care for them. And it's exactly the same, Lou. It's exactly the same in the military, martial arts, any industry. It's exactly the same. I think in the military, it just takes it to that next level of what you can achieve as a team, with high trust. But the way you do it is exactly the same. Putting them before you and really looking after them.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. But actually, I had a comment come through from Anthony. I'm from a psychotherapy background, as well as running a martial arts business. This is absolutely spot on. Great stuff, Lee.
Thank you.
Really nice to hear. Really nice to hear. And something else, and someone was just posted a question to me. Where is kind of, and I know because we get lots of questions as well about reward with your team. How much financial reward creates trust, or do you separate the two entirely? Because we often have comments of, well, they will never care as much as me because it's not their business, or
Yes.
I can't always afford to pay them, so they'll never be as dedicated. How would you tackle that kind of scenario?
Yeah, I think in martial arts, it's slightly unusual because a lot of the people that help us, they're going through the martial arts system. They're going through the belt system. They're working towards their black belt. And the way we do it is it's not about pay. It's not about money. And if it is about money, the focus is slightly wrong. So if you create a culture with your team that it is an honor to be on your team, and they want to be on your team because they want to be part of the family, they want to move to the next level in martial arts, they want to be part of Sensei's family because they see the stuff you do together and they just want to be part of that. And you have a conversation with your belt, whatever belt system you use, and it can be a white belt, it can be a black belt. It doesn't matter what grade they are, because we're not looking for excellence, by the way, we're looking for trust. And these people that you like and you trust, they become apparent straight away. So the conversation is, look, would you like to come on my leadership team? This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do for you. We're going to show you this. You're going to come to team training. We're going to do this with you, that with you. It's great for your CV. I'm going to teach you all this, and this is going to help you in life. We have a mentor. I do a lot of mentorship for various people. I'm a United Nations mentor. So I have a mentor course that I can put them through. And there's a certification attached to that. But it doesn't matter. You can just create your own leadership school with your values in. And they get to do that for free in my academy. We do all the training for free, but they're expected to return that value, that's exchange of value, by teaching in class, coming along to school visits, whatever. And when you get it right, it's not a chore for them. They want to do it, and I want to do it with them, and I want them in the team. But you've got to be quite selective of the people that you invite into your team. And generally, it's a period of watching them, getting to know them a bit better, and then generally, if you think, this person's pretty cool, I'd like them in my family, I'd like them to come round to my family for dinner, and I'm really happy with them, that's the person you ask in. Are they good at martial arts? That doesn't matter. But they will be a great team member. And you can teach them all that stuff along the journey. Now, as they progress and you want them to take on more responsibility, and the conversation would be, right, would you like to run your own class? Would you like, how can you contribute to the martial arts school? And if you can find a way that they can contribute or even open another school, whatever it is you want, then you can monetize it then by saying, well, you'd like to open a class or you'd like to do this. Okay, let's support you in that. Let's see where we go. And, you know, we'll do it for 6 months, for example. And if you like it, you enjoy it, we can start paying you some money. Is that okay? Would you like that? Because they're not doing it for the money. And I'll say to all the martial arts people who are listening out there, if your business, when you had to leave and you were on a desert island with 30 people, would you still teach martial arts? And the answer is generally yes. So it's not doing it for the money. We're doing it for the passion, for the love. And that's, you know, I get the money issue out of the way. If you're paying somebody to do it, they're the wrong person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that has been wonderful, Lee. Thank you so much. I'm waiting for a stampede of my own team who are now going to expect an invite to Spain in summer.
Yes.
I'm going to have to find a polite way to turn them down.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we're taking our team out to Poland after summer. And I say we're taking our team. They will pay to go, but we're going as a week's holiday. Now, there just happens to be a championship on then. So we'll probably have about 3 or 4 athletes. That's all that will compete. But we'll all go out together. It's to fly to Poland for us. It's cheap as chips. The accommodation's cheap. I've always wanted to go. So everyone's super excited about going. But when we're there, we're just going to spend every day with each other. We'll have little things that we'll do. We'll create stuff to do, you know, and we'll go walking and see stuff and all the rest of it, just like you would with your own family. And it's those experiences that really reinforce. And then when you're there, people will talk to you about things that they've never talked to you about before. And they'll share their emotions with you and all the rest of it. And as leaders, we're there, and they know that in their life we're the only person will actually listen to them and help them through the things that they're facing in their daily lives. And it's a fantastic time to do it.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm sure lots of people watching this now or later when it's available will probably resonate. I know this is an environment where lots of people do go on competitions with their students and staff and families, and I've never experienced such communities within school. So I think you guys, being in the industry, are already leaps and bounds ahead of where most of the large organizations are. So it's fantastic. We have Anthony again has come, so we've had a few thank yous. Let me just read these out for you before we close down. Let's see. So Anthony's put, I love Lozzie, was only there last year. Great place to go and watch the Jets.
Wow. If you're up again, Anthony, let us know and we'll hook up and go out for a coffee or a beer, mate.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Tony says, thank you so much. This is great. David says, thanks, Lee. This was great. And Darren, thank you. Really helpful. So excellent comments there. Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always. It's been lovely to have you on, and we will catch up very soon.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.